Hello, Nick here. And I'm sitting around the house and I had a little bit of time on my hands and I just happened to have a comment to one of my older videos pop up. And it was someone who said, "Hey, I love your videos." Of course, everyone likes to hear that. But he's like, "I just got a HQ 180 Hammarlund. And I love it, but I don't really know exactly how to tune it." And he asked me to help him with like a little tutorial of how to tune the radio. And oh my gosh, that's like, he asked me stuff like that. That's right up my alley. And I'm giving you my opinion. I'm not telling you that this is right, but I did read the manual. And I've played with this radio a lot, and I've got a lot of signals on it, and I think it's a great radio. So I'm happy to try to help and give you my opinion on this. Now, when you say, how do I tune an HQ 180? You're really not telling me a lot. Are you familiar with shortwave radio? And do you know how to identify, where are signals? Because I can tell you I'll tune it and how to move all these buttons, but I can't tell you where to go find signals. You need to find it out for yourself. Like, do you even know what WWV is? That's the time signal at 5 megahertz, 10 megahertz, 15 megahertz, 20 megahertz, okay? Do you know how to find the actual like shortwave radio broadcasts and stuff like that? And then, if you know that there's a broadcast at 12.050 megahertz or 12050 kilohertz, which is the same thing. You just got the decimal point in there. If you know that there's a signal there that you want to listen to, a broadcast shortwave program, do you know that there's a broadcast shortwave program there that you want to listen to? I can tell you how to get there, but I can't tell you where all the signals are. There is stuff you can do to help you find that. Plus, a lot of it's going to depend upon where you are. You didn't tell me where you are. I'm in Dallas, Texas. If you're in Maine, all right, or if you're in Saudi Arabia, or if you're in, I don't know, if you're in the Antarctic, the signals that are available to you are much different than the signals that are available to me. So those are all important things. But what I would suggest is, if you're at that remedial level, you need to get on your computer and go here. Look at the top, short-wave.info. And then you fill in these lines here. Find stations broadcasting on, all right? And you type in 12050. 12050 kilohertz now. And then you get an answer, it pops up, you scroll down, and the one that's highlighted in beige is the one that's actually on right now. So 12050 frequency, there's the name, starts at this time, ends at this time, and the times are all UTC. I hope you know what that means. If not, I probably can't help you with any of this stuff. Which days of the week, the language it's in, the power of the transmitter, and the transmitter site, which is in Vandiver, somewhere in the United States. See the U.S. flag? Okay? And you can do the same for that. You can also do, there's an option that just says, tell me what's playing now. Find frequencies, any station in any language that's on right now, and just hit go. All right? And anything that's highlighted in beige is actually broadcasting right now. So you can scroll through those. All right? Anyway, that's a way to help you find signals to search for. All right? There are also things called, or at least I call them utilities, which are like, radio weather information, beacons, non-directional beacons that are constantly broadcast, sometimes 24 hours a day, and it's just a simple bit of Morse code. If you have interest in finding stuff like that, I can help you. I'm going to show you what I call my cheat sheet. All right. So I'm going to put it up here, and I'm going to encourage you to take. I'm going to have to get away from this glare. There we go. I'm going to encourage you to take a screenshot of that. All right, because I'm not going to hold it up here forever. My arm will fall off. All right. So if you want to listen to Gander Radio or Trenton Military or something like that, these are the frequencies you tune in, and those are all USB, upper sideband, okay? All these two. So from 4.7 up to 15.034. Those are all USB, all right? Nets. These are ham radio. Do you even know what ham radio is? You didn't tell me. Ham radio broadcasts in certain parts of the broadcast spectrum, and those are popular frequencies for what they call a bunch of ham radio operators getting together and talking about different stuff. Some of them talk about the weather. Some of them talk about, trying to keep ships from sinking in the middle of the world. Some of them talk about, let's help guys that are having hurricanes and stuff like that. And they do that every day, 24, not 24 hours a day, but they'll do it every day, 365 days a year. And so anything above 10 megahertz is going to be on USB. Anything below is going to be LSB, lower sideband. Like that's lower, 7.268. All right. Those are Aussie Marine frequencies, USB. Okay. So take a screenshot and you can search those and see if you can find signals. I'm going to show you how to do that stuff on an HQ 180, okay? So, important thing to remember, tuning these old radios, it's not like a modern radio. So if you bought a modern radio or a Texan 880 or a Texan 501 or something like that, it's got a digital display, you just go, the station you want to get, you just put it on the screen digitally and hit and go, and you select your mode, you select your bandwidth, and you're done. You're there, okay? It's not like that here. And what I'm going to show you is how I tune my radio, and some of it is based off of what is the condition of your radio? How well aligned is it? So, in other words, accuracy of the two displays. All right, well, actually, the only one you're worried about is this one. This one is adjustable with this knob up here, and I'll show you how to do that. But if your radio is never been touched since the day it was made and it was never taken care of and it's out of, not tune, that isn't the right word, but if it's out of alignment, the stations will not appear where you think they should appear, okay? And I have no way of knowing that about your radio, all right? So this information works for my radio, and I consider my radio to be a very well-adjusted and well-aligned radio, although it's not perfect, which we will see. So let's zoom in and talk about the controls first. Well, quickly, I'll just touch on each control, then we'll talk about how to work and tune a signal. So starting in this corner, obviously clock, you got it, you don't got it, that's not going to help you tune in anything up here. Noise limiter, just leave it off, okay? You turn it on, turn it off. Just for now, just leave it off. You want to if after you learn how to tune your radio, read the manual and it'll tell you how to use that. Over here, this is your AVC control, automatic voice control, which is the same as an AGC, automatic gain control. So your options, once it's on, are slow, medium, and fast. You could also turn it off, which means you have to manually tune it and adjust it with the RF. I suggest you don't turn it off. Just put it on either slow or medium. And if you're really entry level at this and don't know what that means, just put it on medium and never touch it. Okay? I'll come back to this. This is send, receive, and calibrate. Send, put your radio in a standby mode. It won't work, but the lights will still be on. Receive is where you want it for normal operation. So just leave it there and receive, all right? Calibrate, you say you have a manual. I might touch on that, but you can read into that. Receive is where you just want to leave that. This dial adjusts this dial adjusts this. AF is volume, RF is signal strength, all right? And it's also your on off. So if you turn this all the way counterclockwise, that'll see where it says off, that'll turn the radio off. Tuning range. So you notice how there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 scales, right? See them? One on top of the other. If you look over here, you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So whichever dial, whichever range you want to be in, you use this pointer to point at it, okay? And obviously, you know, like if you're just trying to listen to regular AM radio, like you can get in your car, that's where I'm on right now, and I'll show you that first. But that's where you go first, and you got to aim at that. If you're and before this, for the example, I told you a shortwave signal called 12.050, 12.050. Well, you'd have to turn this all the way back to this one over here, and we'll do that too. But that's your band selector, so you use that. Then you come over here. I'll touch on this. This is the adjuster to calibrate this scale, which in effect calibrates this scale. All right. Slot frequencies, it's a very high level option that nulls. It tunes out noises. 0 is the center frequency. So if you tuned at 12.050, and you put this on there, you would be nulling the center of the signal, which is bad. You don't want to do that. On sideband, you can do that. Like if you're trying to look for hams or Morse code, stuff like that, you could mess with this. You can experiment with it, read the manual about it. But for normal operation, turn it all the way off, like that, all the way down to 5 and just leave it there. This is for sideband operation when you're trying to find hams and tune them on SSB, whether it's upper or lower. See that? U is upper, L is lower. Anyway, here's your mode selector. AM, SSB, single sideband, CW, Morse code. And then if you're in AM, see, so a signal technically has 3 spikes or carriers. All right, so if you looked at a spectrum scope, the center carrier usually encompasses both side bands, and you're going to listen to all 3 of them. So if you put this on AM, you want this on both. All right. If you're going to listen to one of those, if you're going to listen to, you know, Trenton Military or Gander Radio or something like that, an easy one to get is 10.051. So 10.051, you'd go sideband, and that's up. Remember I told you it's upper sideband, so you go U. All right. This is vernier tuning, which is like extremely fine tuning. Once you get to where you think you need to be, you can just touch this like this, just this much, okay? If you need to. See, it says select kilocycles. Kilocycles is the same as kilohertz. This is your bandwidths. If you don't know what bandwidths are, it's like, remember how I told you got 3 carriers on a spectrum? If you've ever seen a spectrum scope, you got your center carrier, and you got your upper sideband and your lower sideband. Center, lower, upper. Well, the bandwidth tells you how much of the spectrum you're bringing in and listening to at any given time. If you turn it down too low to 0.5, you're going to miss some of those carriers, all right? But on AM, you're going to want to be full wide at 3. And when you're on both AM, both sidebands, you double this number. So that bandwidth selection option is 3 kilohertz or kilocycles for each sideband. And if you're in AM, technically you're listening to both sidebands at the same time, so you have to double that number. And that's 6. So your bandwidth is 6 kilohertz. 2 would be 4, 1 would be 2, but if you're listening to AM, which all the shortwave stations are broadcasting on, AM, you just leave it on AM, you leave it on both, and you leave this on 3. You can put it down to 2, and you might get out a little bit of noise on a weak station. If you go lower than that, you're wasting your time. And you could experiment with that. Anyway, those are the controls in a nutshell. So I'm going to zoom in more here so you can see the... All right. So let's say you wanted to, let's start real simple. Let's say you want to tune in the AM radio band, the same band you get in any car. Okay. So let's say you want to listen to your local sports broadcast station on AM. I'm in Dallas. The best, or one of my favorites here, is called The Ticket. All right. The broadcast number is 1.310. Okay, that's whether it's 1.31, that number would be megahertz. But if it's kilohertz, it's just a decimal thing. You could say 1310 is the same as 1.310. All right. So if you look at the scale real close, I'm trying to get this glare out. All right, you might have to live with it. There, that might help a little. Okay. So the broadcast band is from 500, or technically 540, all the way up to currently 1700 or 1710. So to hear the lower end of the band, you'd have to go here. To hear the upper end of the band, you'd have to go here. So 1310 falls between 105 and 205. All right? So let's zoom in here. Now, here's where the alignment comes into play. So I guess I should start. If you read the manual tells you that this is the band spread. So what this does, this spreads what you're tuning here. So this tunes the same thing you're tuning here, but what it does is it spreads it out really far. So if you go here, and watch my hand, if you go like this, see that? If you go like this, you're off a signal, all right? I don't have the volume on, but see how the meter just jumped up? See that? And the meter's almost full, okay? Now, if I tune off the signal, see how the meter goes down? See that? So it only took this much to make a difference. But watch what happens. Let's go full strength. All right? Over there. So I'm assuming you can see that. Watch the meter. So now over here, see that? I'm turning, and watch. Eventually the meter will go down. It should go down. Oh, you know what? Maybe the AM broadcast doesn't work with the band spreader. I never knew that. But it will on shortwave bands. Anyway, the point I'm trying to make is the manual tells you that in order for this dial to be accurate, the band spread dial has to be set at 100. See 100 down there? That means 100 points, 100%, whatever. So you have to tune that so that you're on that last line. All right? Now, the problem there is this button here adjusts that line. So if you see that, it moves, okay? So a lot of this has to do with the alignment of your radio. So, and I gotta look past the camera here to put it back where I was, because mine was set good, all right? All right. So my suggestion is just center it. All right, move this until this line is pretty much just right in the middle, okay? Move this until you're on exactly 100 and you have all those lines lined up, all right? Right like that. Now you can adjust this scale. And it might not be perfect. Sometimes you might get lucky and maybe your radio is really well adjusted and maybe it will be perfect. But anyway, I told you the signal I'm looking for, 1310, or 1.31. Turn radio.
It is absolutely delicious.
All right. You see 1.3. Each one of those tick marks is 0.1. So you see 1.3, 1.31, 3.2, 3.3, 3.4, then you see 1.35. We're looking for 1.31. One point three, 1.31, and you hear something trying to come in. Go a little farther. The meter came up. There's the signal. There's the station. It's a little bit off, okay? That's common on an old tube radio, depending on how well it was aligned. And my experience has always been that the AM broadcast band, the same signals you can get in your car, those bands on these radios are usually not as well aligned as the higher frequency bands, okay? That's not a hard rule, but it's been my experience. So that's 1.3. So let's say you want to go to 890, all right? In Chicago, that's a really hot station. 890 AM, WLS. I grew up listening to that station. Well, we got to change our range. So remember, this is 105 is the low end. We need to go to 890, so we need to be between 540 and 105, 890, okay? Now, in the daytime in Dallas, I'm not going to get 890 here. There might be a signal here. It won't be WLS. Now, at nighttime, and that's a whole nother story, is how signals propagate or how they go, how they move, or how, you know, how clear they are or how far they can broadcast. At night, it's different than it is at day. This is only like 3 o'clock in the afternoon, 4 o'clock in the afternoon, 5 o'clock, sorry. So, anyway, for my example, we wanted to go to 890. So we changed this, the range. We will move down one scale to the very bottom scale. Now we're looking for, see how it says 0.7? We want 0.8, 0.8, 0.85, 86, 87, 88, 89, okay? 88, 89, and it could be off a little bit. Remember the AM scale on mine anyway, I say AM, but it's the broadcast radio. It's off a little. But there's nothing there because in Dallas, 890, Chicago station won't make it here. There are other signals, okay? That's 820, or no, excuse me, 880 maybe. Or hell, I don't know. 820 is a big one here.
Register for your chance.
There it is. 820 is a powerful station here.
Seating tickets to see Tucker Carlson in Fort Worth County GOP fundraiser.
We're closer than we were before. Not perfect.
Thank you very much for hanging out with the James Show today.
All right. So let's do that first example I told you about. And I use that example because there's usually always a signal at 12:050. All right? 12.050. So we need to find, all right, it's not there. That's 15 to 30. We need to be 12 megahertz. There, right there. Okay? Another thing about listening to AM broadcast, those signals are so strong you can get away with not messing with any of these other controls. When you get up into these weak shortwave broadcasts that are coming from far away or sometimes overseas, they're going to be weak. You're going to need to use some other features to try to help you bring them in. So 12:050, all right? We're going to move up to, let's see, we're almost there right now. All right, you see this, the second scale down from the top. 11.5, 12, 12.5, and then each tick mark is 0.1. Okay? Now, the first thing you do, make sure you're on AM, make sure you're on both, and then make sure this is on 3, and make sure this is all the way off on 5, and then center this and center this. RF, all the way up, max this. You want it all the way up. That's volume. Remember, this one can either be on slow or medium. It's not going to make much difference. But what you want to do is you want to tune your antenna. And that's what this is. They call it an antenna trimmer, an antenna tuner, an antenna correction. It depends upon what your radio is. They call them different things. But you're basically fine-tuning your radio to your antenna. Now, some radios you set it once and it's good for all bands. Some radios you actually have to change it every time you change the band. And you can do this either by watching the meter or you can do it by listening with your ear. You want to tune this for maximum signal. So the volume's off. The signal is 0. See how it blipped a little bit there? All right. Let's put the volume up. Because we're between signals. We're not on a signal. Listen to the static. Hear it? It came up. That means that's the hot spot for this band. But where I had it before was the hot spot for a different band. So every time you change this, you need to tune this first before you do anything else. So now, we want to go to, and I'm trying to do this looking through the thing with my old ass eyes, using my bifocals and trying to see this little itty bitty dial thing, so I'm fighting this, all right? So bear with me here. The second scale down, we want to tune, and I'm going to turn the volume up for this, 12050. So that's 12.2, 12.1, I'm barely moving this. Barely moving this. Watch. Watch. I lost it. See that? Okay. Now, we're on it. Now, I'm going to show you a little secret, how to fine-tune a weak station so you know when you're dead on, okay? It's called 0 beat. So we're listening at 12050. We're getting it. AM, both sidebands. If we put the radio in single sideband mode, we will get a tone. It's a sideband tone, a side tone. And if you're dead on this, if you're dead money on this, what they call the center carrier, the tone goes away. If you're a little bit low, you'll get a tone. If you're a little bit high, you'll get a tone. When you're dead money on, that tone goes away. You can't hear it. So if you hear a little tone, you move this dial and you'll hear wee. And then when you get to 0, it'll stop, and if you go the other way, it'll go wee. So you bring it to what they call 0 beat, where there is no tone. Watch. Sideband. I'm going to use this, the fine tune. Gone. And it's going up the other way. See that? That's how you fine tune the shortwave signal. Watch this. You can also do it with this. Money, right there. Now, if I'm really anal, if I was toilet trained at gunpoint and my mom pressed my underwear when I was a kid, and it has to be on dead zero, or I can't sleep at night, put it on dead zero. Put this on dead zero, and then you can come back over here and fight with this knob to try to make the tone go away. But it will be much, much harder. Ooh, that's it right there. Or that's close to it. It's not perfect. You might never get it perfect with this. This is too gross of an adjustment. Gone. Turn off sideband. Back in AM, both 6 kilohertz bandwidth all the way over. We're listening to this signal. All right. What else? Let's do WWV, the time signal. Well, I guess before I say that, so different times of the day are better times to listen to different signals. The general rule is, and that doesn't go for the AM radio broadcast, the one that you can hear in your car, you can get that stuff 24 hours a day, all right? Doesn't matter. But when you're trying to listen to shortwave radio, the signals are much weaker, they're much finer, they're harder to get, staticky, all that stuff. The general rule of thumb is the earlier in the day, it's better to go to higher frequency. The later in the day, it's better to go to lower frequency. Now, that's a general rule of thumb. It's not an absolute. So remember I told you it's only 5 p.m. here. So we can listen to stuff 12 megahertz, 13, 15, 17 megahertz, stuff like that. In the evening, after the sun goes down, it's better to listen down in the 7 megahertz, 6 megahertz, 5 megahertz range. And then overnight, if you want, you can even listen down into the 4s and the 3s and stuff like that. So that's a general rule of thumb. So being 5 p.m., and that same thing goes for WWV, the time signal. It's going to be hard to hear 2.5 megahertz at 5 o'clock in the afternoon. I'm not going to say it can't be done. Sometimes it can. Depends on where you are. If you live in Colorado and you can see the WWV thing in Colorado Springs from your house, okay, well, guess what? You'll get it anytime you want. But if you live in Saudi Arabia, it's not going to be easy for you. So 5 o'clock in the afternoon, I'm going to say our best bet, WWV will be strongest on 15 megahertz. All right? So let's come over here. We're already in the correct range for 15. All we have to do is dial this up to 15. I'm going to try to lower this a smidgen. Okay, so you can see more of the controls. You can still see the needle there. All right. 13 and a half, 14. Here's where the hams hang out. 14 to 14.3. All right. That's a whole nother world trying to dial in sideband. We'll touch on that before we sign off. Here, right, coming up on 15. Remember, you want this on 100. WWV is best heard on AM. Okay, AM both. This one all the way over 6 or 3 because and you double it for a total of 6. So watch as we come up on 15. Money. Look at that. Money. All right? In radio technical speak, the correct term for that is do, re, mi, baby. Okay? Let's try to mess with the band spread and do with that. Hear that? We're losing it. Money. We're losing it. But look how much I can turn it. All right? Let's see how sensitive it is with this dial. All right, again, watch or I should say how little I turn this before I lose it. Gone. I don't think I even moved it. Okay. Oh, let's zero beat it to make sure I'm dead money on. All right, how do we do that? Correct. SSB. There's the tone. We can either use this or this. Wrong way. Zero, wrong way. All right. Or put that on zero and use this. And what you got to be careful for here is WWV is making the whole signal you're listening to is the same, almost the same sound you get when you put this on sideband, so that the tones you're getting, you can confuse those when you put it on sideband trying to zero beat it. So you got to get your brain focused on which sound you're listening to. But anyway, zero beating is very easy, it's very basic, and it will help you get dead money on the center of a weak signal. All right? So just for demonstration of what I was talking about before, let's go to 10 megahertz and see if we can even get WWV at 10. We might. Coming up, 10.2, 1. There it is. All right, let's try it at 5 megahertz. Put this switch down here because we're going to go to 5 megahertz. Where's 5? Watch, getting close. That's it. That's it right there. Hear how weak it is though? And how staticky it is? Let's turn the bandwidth from 6 to 4. See how that made some of the static go away? Well, if you're just listening to tones, you can go this low. Let's go back to a voice signal and try this. All right, let's go back to 12050. All right, make sure we're on AM, both, 6. Put this on 0. Put this on 0. Go back to 12. Man, where's my glasses? 11. 12. All right, watch what happens when we come up to 050. So the first hash mark is 0.1. We want to be halfway. Let's zero beat it. We're not perfect because I suck, but money. What is that called again? This is a test, a quiz. Correct. Do, re, mi. AM. Now let's listen to bandwidths. We're on max. 3 doubled is 6. Listen. See that? You can still get the fidelity of the lady's voice, but it cut out some of the static. Watch what happens when we go down one more. We lose a lot of the fidelity of the voice. You always want to listen with the highest bandwidth you can, but sometimes for 2 reasons you can't. The 2 reasons are, 1, too much static, The other reason is if there's two signals that are too close together and one's real strong, you got to turn the bandwidth down or you won't be able to hear the weaker signal. You tune to the weaker signal, this one's so strong it bleeds in. You turn the bandwidth down. Remember, I told you the bandwidth is how much width on the spectrum you're listening to, how much you're bringing in. So if you've got two signals that are really close together and one's stronger, or even if they're not, even if they're the same, you might have to narrow the bandwidth so that the other signal doesn't bleed into the one you're trying to hear. Okay? All right. Last quick lesson on tuning, and this is going to be a bitch, is single sideband. All right, so this time of the day, I don't know, because I'm not a ham, all right? I'm not a ham. I don't know much about that. But I think the best place to listen to is the 14 megahertz range, which is also called the 20 meter band. So that's 14.1 to 14.3 or something like that. So let's go up to, all right, this gets really complicated because a lot of it depends on how well your radio is aligned. All right, you see 14, 14.1, 0.2, 0.3, and then 14.4, 14.5. Then you see that little black box below the line, but it's touching that same line. So if you listen to the manual tells you to put this right, you split that box, okay? And then you use this to tune downwards to listen to the whole 20 meter band, ham band. All right, and I'm gonna have to zoom in closer here because I can't see this shit from back here. All right, so the 14 meter band obviously is the third one from the top or the middle one. See how it says 14.425, all right? Well, what we want to listen to, our best chance to hear a signal here is the Hurricane Net. That's what they nickname it, okay? It's at 14.300. So technically, you should be able to put this on center, but through experimentation, I think I need to be on the right edge of that mark, okay? And then you put the radio on sideband, because hams always broadcast 99% of the time in sideband. Now we got to come off of both. Do we want upper or lower? This is a quiz. What's the answer? Correct, upper, not lower, upper. Now we also want to drop our bandwidth for sidebands. We could leave it in 3 and we might still be able to hear. So let's just leave it alone for now. Zero out this, zero out this. Let's turn this up. And I'm going to have to get real close so you can see the dial. We're looking for 14.300, 0.4, 375, 0.24, 350, 325, 14.3. Now remember, so when you're trying to tune sideband, remember how I told you how this one is so hard to use because it's so sensitive? Well, when you're in sideband, this one becomes like this one. So you get close and you use this.
Alpha Echo 0, Echo Foxtrot 55. 57 at the park, Kilo 9379 to a Delta.
You hear that buzzing?
Roger, Roger, 9379, that was Alpha Echo 0, Echo Foxtrot. Here comes,
So you hear occasion, there, you hear that? That's another signal adjacent. If you turn the bandwidth down, you can help make that guy go away. See that? He's gone now. But I can tell this is not the hurricane net.
Thank you, Jack. I appreciate you, 73. There's somebody on top of me. I can barely hear you guys. It's defamatory. It's just a question of going back to a jury to ask them how much for first time unlucky. Maybe that'll start them up. No, I don't think so. You're so dumb as a box of rocks. Yeah, but what does it say about half of your voting?
All right. That's how you tune sideband. Put this on SSB, select whether you want upper or lower, and remember, if it's below 10 megahertz, you want lower, and if it's above 10 megahertz, you want upper. Now that rule is only for ham broadcasts. All those utilities are all USB, even if they're super low frequency, okay? A little bit confusing. Here's another thing that's gonna screw with your brain. If you're remember, when you're listening to a ham conversation, you got two guys talking, all right? One guy's radio might suck, all right? And if you tune this guy in and this guy starts talking, you might not be able to understand this guy because he's off frequency, but he doesn't know it. So that's why you're constantly fighting with this dial if the two guys, if you're listening to this guy or you're listening to this guy. Sometimes you're lucky and both guys got nice radios, all right? Sometimes you could have two guys that are like, this guy's radio sucks this way and this guy's radio sucks this way, and neither of them know it or they don't care, okay? So, yeah, so that's the fun of trying to listen to hams on one of these really old radios. Anyway, we're at 47 minutes. I'm tired of talking. I know you're tired of listening. In fact, I bet money you're not even there anymore, all right? You're either having dinner or you're asleep, okay? But I love talking about this stuff. So I hope this was helpful. Get out there, play with your Hammarlund, and make your own video. Show the world, show me, how does your Hammarlund work? Is it well aligned? Can you get those simple broadcast stations down here in this range and in this range? Listening to AM sports radio or something? Can you get WWV at 5, 10, 15, 20? I'll tell you, this radio can, hey, before I let you go, what the hell? I got nothing better to do. Let's try 25 megahertz WWV. All right? First things first, what did I tell you? Correct, good. We got to tune the antenna. All right? So either listen to the static volume or watch the meter. Hear that? The slight difference. All right. Now we're going to tune. Oh, we got to go to AM. Both. 6, 0. Make sure that's on 0. And we run this up to 25. Where are we? All right, we're getting close. Let's see if we can even sniff this. Oh, I never, see that? I screwed up. I didn't have this on 100. Hear the way the sound changed? That's it. Did you hear the beat? It's hard to get it at 25. Let's try 20. Sometimes you might have a dirty band switch. It's common, especially on the top band. Turn away and come back. Yeah. All right, let's go down one band here. Let's go back to 15 and make sure my radio still works. Thank God my radio still works. All right, that's the joys of these old boat anchors. Remember, these things are old, man. Made in the 60s, probably. Anyway, we're now at 52 minutes, and I guarantee you're not even there anymore. All right, nobody is. But I'm having a good time. So I hope this was helpful. And good luck to you.